welcome to another episode of Bible Safari. Our timeline hero today is Gideon, a guy who didn't think too much of himself, but God chose him to defeat a large army with only 300 men. But first, let's recap. Last week we talked about Joshua and the walls of Jericho. If you missed it, please be sure to check it out on our YouTube page. During this time in history, God's people didn't honor him. Some even worshipped other gods. So God allowed an enemy called the Midianites to take everything from the Israelites, his chosen people. They lost their land, their animals, and their food to the Midianites, and then they cried to God for help. God, being merciful, heard their cries and had compassion on them. He sent an angel to Gideon who told him that he was chosen to defeat the enemy. Gideon doubted in himself, but God assured him that he will be with him the whole time. So Gideon took all the men that he could find, 32,000, because the Midianites had a lot of soldiers. But God said, no, that's too many. So after all the frightened men were sent home, Gideon was left with only 10,000 soldiers. But God said, no, that's still too many. Gideon had to let them drink water, and only the ones who drank from their hands were allowed to stay. That showed that they were aware and on the lookout for things. So only 300 men were left to fight the enemy. Gideon then split the men into 3 groups of 100 each. And he gave them each a torch, a jar, and a trumpet. And then he told them, look at me and do what I do. He broke his jar, he blew on his trumpet, and all the 300 men did the same. And they shouted, the sword of the Lord and of Gideon. The Midianites didn't know what hit them. They got so scared, they started to run away, fighting and killing one another. The battle was won by breaking jars, blowing on trumpets, and a lot of yelling. How amazing is God? Our memory verse for today comes from Proverbs 21, verse 21. Whoever pursues righteousness and love will find life, prosperity, and honor. God was going to show his supernatural power through Gideon. Gideon looked at the men at his camp and he thought, there is no way we're going to defeat the Midianites. So Gideon tried to rely on his own strength. This is just Gideon in his own strength. And this is the task that he had to do. Clearly, it doesn't work. Let's go. But God wanted to show that with his power, Gideon could accomplish what seemed impossible. That was then, and this is now. You may find yourself unworthy, just like Gideon did. You may have some doubts, the same way Gideon did. You may even want to try and test God, the same way Gideon did. But that's okay, because the same God who was with Gideon then is with us today. Let's pray. Dear Lord God, thank you for your love, your guidance, and your assurances on the daily. Thank you for doing the impossible every day. Thank you for healing and restoration and your protection. Thank you for restoration of relationships and for creativity being fired up during this time. And thank you that we could put our complete trust in you. In Jesus' name, amen.